Welcome to the Deal Champs podcast. I'm your co-host, Strat Daddy, aka Mr. Stratton Brown. I am so excited to have you guys on today. We're going to have the best topic ever: how to avoid Uncle Sam at all costs.
My favorite topic.
The favorite topic ever. Real quick about me, I've scaled 2 different companies to 7 figures. Right now, I'm on a challenge to net $1 million before the end of the year. Wholesaling houses. It's been an absolute grind. I'm posting all of it on YouTube and Facebook, so you can go learn all the lessons that I've had to learn in this challenge, and you can build a business for free. We have Mr. Jason Pritchard, the master of hair. The hair's out.
Hair is out today. Thank you guys for joining us. I see everybody jumping into my IG live stream. This is Jason Pritchard, your other co-host. Quick backstory on me: as I worked and grinded away in corporate America for 15 years. Hated my job, always wanted to do real estate. We burned the boats in 2014 and have not looked back since. Last 10 years, we've done 450 deals. We own a rental portfolio, just over 100 units in Central California mainly. And our goal, as always, with this pod is to try to transfer as many real life learning lessons to all of you guys that are tuning in so you can learn from our mistakes and get to where we're going much faster than we did.
And we have Sleepy Dean no longer.
No,
Captain America is back in the building.
We're going to have to edit that out. We're going to edit all.
You can't even say the words. You just violated.
We can't even say the words.
Can't even say the words.
Yeah.
I'll take it back. We'll have Marco edit that out, please. Just cut it out of the whole thing.
Little dick move.
It'll all be done.
Just edit Stratton out. Just edit Stratton out of the podcast. He's out. Yeah. He violated all agreement. I can't believe it. The first chance he had, he took it. Not even.
I'm so proud of last week. I'm proud of what Captain America did for America last week. But who prepares a 5-minute monologue? Like a 5-minute monologue. Like, you were committed to getting your name back.
That was real. A true commitment.
It was very committed.
The full voice and everything, dude. All the mannerisms and everything were there, dude. I loved it. It was a full-blown commitment. Expect nothing less from Captain America. Great job.
What's up, guys? Your other co-host here, Dean Rogers, aka Captain America, the one and only. For those that know my story, I started my career in the NFL, transitioned from that to corporate, then to real estate. Been investing in real estate for over a decade now in Central California. We've done 650 plus deals, rental portfolio of 8 figures, and coaching students how to get started with real estate through wholesaling. And you guys can always connect with me at deanrogers.com.
Dean, you haven't sent any affiliates to Resimply lately. I was talking to Shanae yesterday. Me and Jason are beating your ass. I don't know what's going on there.
You guys are. Like, obviously, I love Resimply. We'll talk about it since you brought it up. And preach Resimply. You guys are using Resimply because I wouldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
It's true.
That is 100% true.
So if they give me a hard time,
affiliates go back to Dean, I feel like he should get a percentage of them because it's all underneath his. Yeah.
So if they give me a hard time, I'll at least mention that. But dude, we were in Europe, got back, trying to get back in the swing of things, and then just been playing catch up, man. It's been really hard. I haven't been making any new social media. Just been sending the team some little pictures and little small home video stuff, but my video guys banging down my door. Hey, when can we get together? So it's been tough, man, trying to get back in the swing of things for sure.
Both your guys' socials have been doing really good. Jason, I thought yours today was good.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, we're trying to continue to come up with ideas that are like engaging. Is not the easiest thing in the world, dude. It's tough, here's how you wholesale a deal. Here's how you do private money. Here's how you blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that was good because we literally just sold that. We got recording confirmation on that pain in the ass house like 5 minutes before we jumped on this pod. So thankfully we sold it, but it's been a nonstop nightmare over there. People breaking in, stealing all of our shit, like agents showing up to do showings, and like people there doing drugs in the living room. Just it's the wildest thing, bro. I mean,
I had that happen on a property. This had to have been 4 or 5 years ago. It was such a nightmare. We were literally boarding the house up regularly, like daily. We had security round the clock, security cameras. They were literally crawling like through the shafters on the top of the roof and through vents, and like They were so determined. It was insane. And like you said, we had the property sold several times. We had the day before closing on one deal. It was a cash buyer. We're like, thank God they're going to close quick. They walk in the day before without telling our agent that they were going to go see the property. And that's what we needed. We needed to like clear it out, make sure it was good. And lo and behold, there was some stuff there and blew the deal up. Oh my God. We lost money on that deal.
So we're and what's even
Jason,
crazier,
did you hire
dude,
security?
No, we didn't hire security on this one, but we've got one of our guys that we work with a lot that will pay to do just daily checks. So he just adds it. We give him a list of all the properties and he just goes over there and checks up on it every day. It wasn't bad enough that we've had to hire like actual security companies before, bro, like to actually like watch the property around the clock.
We've hired people to sleep and stay the night there
that too. Yeah.
We
the
did on that
craziest
property
thing is like all of this stuff can happen and there's literally no consequence, bro. Like nothing. Like you can't get, it's like you can't get in trouble for this stuff, dude. Even if the cops show up with the people there smoking meth in the living, there's nothing, bro. It's just like, it's like, all right, well, it's gone. We just cut them loose around the corner, bro. It's crazy.
So this blows my mind and it really confuses me. And I don't know if you guys have a good answer for this, but the person who's smoking meth in your house who broke into it, who doesn't get in trouble, if we just decide to smoke meth on the side of the street one day, which wouldn't happen, but if we decided to, our butts would be in jail in extreme, trouble. What?
It's wild, bro.
Where's the disconnect? I'm confused.
I don't know. I mean, we spend tons of money dealing with this stuff all the time.
Right. I have a quick story about this. I want to share. So this is how real it is. The state of California is bananas. Me and Kyle are buying one of our sub 2 houses in like 2020. The day we're supposed to close, we go over there. People had already broken in. They were doing meth in the back room. They had already ripped off our security cameras that the homeowner left there. And so we call the cops, we get them out. Those motherfuckers walked across the street and just went into the neighbor's house. Like nothing happened. It got so bad to where we had to hire security. And like they just patrol it 24/7 because we had people breaking in. Someone stole like an AC unit, bro, like it nonstop. But this was a 93702. And so
I've seen the craziest stuff, bro. Listen to this story. Since we're telling trading war stories, I'll share the craziest story, dude. So a few years ago, we bought an 8-unit apartment on Glen here in Fresno in 93701. And it's a rough neighborhood, right? And my son
Allen?
at that time, from Allen, I bought it from Allen. So my son was 18 years old at the time, and I was kind of bringing him in to help me with the business. And so I was like, hey, I need you to open this up. We have a showing scheduled for a prospective tenant. Just open it up, show it to them, and then, we'll follow up to see if they're interested in the house. So he goes, does the showing. Some crazy person comes, pulls a knife out.
I remember this, bro.
Doorstep. My son was smart enough to lock the door, shut it. The guy went out in the front yard, slashed my son's tires, slashed the tenant's tires. Okay. And then I jet over there. Cops come. The cops had him like hooked up right there on the sidewalk. Okay. So I was like, well, at least they arrested him. I saw him getting handcuffed and being put in the thing. I'm standing there with my son just afterwards trying to like assess what's going on. 20 minutes later, the guy walks back up and pulls a fucking knife on me, dude, right there. So they literally took him around the corner. I don't know if they cited him or didn't do anything, and then just let him walk. And he walked back and started getting in my face in the time that I got there. Dude. It was freaking crazy, bro. I couldn't believe it.
So did they pick him up after that?
No, I called the cops and was just like, what the hell is going on? Blah, blah, blah. They came back out, but nothing ever came of it, dude. And it was just, it was the wildest scenario that I'd ever seen. And I freaked out just because it was my son. And obviously, you never want him to be in that situation. But I just couldn't believe that. I mean, it's one thing to like break into the property in the middle of the night and do drugs. It's another thing to like pull a knife on somebody and then slash the tires. And then, you know what I mean? And that's not even enough to get arrested. It's insane, bro.
Do you have your CCW?
I got my CCW after that. I remember for a lot of stuff because I was never a gun person growing up. Like it wasn't just, I just didn't grow up like that. But I was just going back and forth and like, I don't really want it. Cause there's liability, dude, with your CCW. Cause we go on lots of houses where sellers are like, yeah, just the house is vacant. You know what I mean? Walk in there. And I don't want to walk in a house on somebody where I don't own it. I mean, it's a big enough liability in a property that you own, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I was always kind of leery about that. But right after that scenario, I swear I immediately applied and now I have my CCW now. And I think if you're in California, it's something that you should have, because if you're doing our business, I've only been in like 1 or 2 really like scary situations ever in my life, like walking into a house. And dude, it's dangerous out there, bro. The business, we get desensitized. I feel like I'll just walk into a house, bro. Like I don't even care anymore. And you got to be careful when you're doing that. I think we're so desensitized to it that you gotta watch what you're doing.
One of my first experiences is me and Alan going to a house that I got from cold calling, and him legitimately like clearing the house with a gun. Yeah, like checking corners and everything. And it was like this vacant house that someone was going to sell to us. All right. First topic. Do we start with the taxes or do we bump the taxes to the end?
I think we talked
about
bump
it to the end. Yeah, let's bump it.
We'll bump it to the end. All right. I'll start with the first one. Since Dean's going to have the highest tuition bill out of all of us because Dean has swimmers.
But swimmers, dude. Olympic swimmers.
Dean has straight swimmers, bro.
I'm interested to hear how Dean is going to respond to this because he could have a 7-figure education bill given how fast he's popping babies out. So we'll see what happens.
Will you pay for your children to go to college? Yes or no? Captain America, king of the swimmers.
I'll start with this. And as we had discussed, I won't say for what reason, but I do have to end early today for a special surprise. So more information to come on that. But will I pay for my kids' college? So here's my thing. When I first had my kids, my oldest being 8 years ago, you start to become aware of and bombarded with the things you should be doing for your kids' future, right? Setting up special retirement account stuff or school. I'm forgetting the proper words here, but special accounts where you can put money into it and it will be for their college and things like that. Right. For me, I never believed in that because very quickly I almost became jaded on that topic as I became an entrepreneur and realized that none of what I did in school prepared me for real life, like accounting and like managing money and things like that. And oh, by the way, all these really important big life decisions I'm making is just simple elementary math. All the calculus I took was just a waste of, my memory space and frying my brain and stressing myself out. So I started to really feel like, dude, college was a waste of time and wasn't going to help me in the real world. And I'll be better off just teaching my kids what I've learned as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, because I'd like them to do the same, right? You can't force them. I think that would be better for their life by far. Now, I was reflecting on it as we thought about this topic. The one thing I do believe college is good for is for maturing and learning how to take care of yourself without the living in your parents' house. Do you still have a safety blanket being in the education system? You're not really out in the real world. Yes, but you have to learn how to do laundry and cook food. And for me, that stuff was actually super valuable and important. You have to learn how to manage your schedule without your parents telling you to go to class and stuff like that. Manage going out or not going out with friends, things like that. So I think that type of stuff is helpful for the real world. And one other thing, this wasn't my story because I met my wife in high school, but one other thing, I think a lot of people meet some of their best friends and their significant others in college. So to not discount that, I honestly would send my kids to college just for the fact of maturing, the relationships, the potential spouse they might meet there. I am literally considering, as I've written it off in the past, I've recently started to think like maybe it would be better for their entire life to go through that experience. But I will also say, do I think college is valuable for what they'll likely do in life, right? Assuming they're not going to be a doctor, assuming they're not going to be a teacher or a historian, or something else that college would and can be very useful for. I don't think the school part will be helpful, but I think the relationships that could be gained from there and the life skills could and would be very helpful and useful. So will I send my kids to college? I think we'll see. We'll see if they even want to go. We're not really fully immersed in the school system right now anyway. So That's my 2 cents.
Are you fitting the bill for it though? Are you footing the bill?
Yeah,
Are you going to pay?
Are you paying for it?
Okay, we're bringing it
if
back to
they
that.
want to go, are you actually going to cut the check for them to
Like,
go?
are you cutting the check for all 12 of your kids to go to an Ivy League school?
Here's my answer to that is I don't want them to spend that time working, because I know lots of people who had to work that whole time and they couldn't experience building the relationships and what I just got done talking about. So would I foot the bill? I would. And I would damn sure hope that there's enough genetics in them that they could earn a scholarship in a sport and help pay the way. So
Yeah, that's Dino. When do you need to dip? It's 3.
as soon as someone starts banging on my door.
All right.
So
Okay.
Go next,
Maybe 10,
Strat. I'm
15
going to go
minutes.
last. I have an actual kid in college right now, so I have the real life experience. I want to hear your response here.
All right. So the biggest thing for me when I first got started, I was like, Zeno, when Zeno's mom got pregnant, she was ranked 3rd in the country in track, and I was on my way to the Seahawks. And so my first response was, you have enough genetics to where, no, I'm not paying for shit. Figure shit out. Work kind of hard, and you'll probably get a scholarship or something. Right. And I, like Dean, I feel like the majority of my children, just with our background, they should be able to get some type of athletic scholarship and it not be a big deal. So that's like number one, is I'm going to push them into doing some type of athletic ability so you can see what type of scholarships you can get. And that'll be good for you mentally and everything else. On top of that, if you're in school, you should get good grades. I would rather say, I want you to get good grades and see if you can get scholarships that way. Right. I wasn't the best in school. My parents didn't necessarily care about it as much. Kalani is huge in it, and she's really, really smart. And so I guarantee you she's going to be on their ass about that. I do think college changed my life because I got to leave my hometown. Right. I grew up in a really small town in Utah, and then I moved to Fresno, California, which is drastically different. Right. Like in every aspect, my life changed. I met Kalani, who's my significant other there. I met some of my best friends in my life there. I moved to Fresno, and then I stayed here, and this is where I met Alan. So like all because I decided to go to college and play college football at Fresno State, my social skills got better. I met Alan, who is probably one of the most influential people in my life, right? Like all these things fell in place because I went to college at Fresno State.
Yeah.
And I would say I would love for my kids to play college sports because you see so much about the world. One of my best friends in college was so poor that he had to heat his house with their oven. He was like, bro, we just had to turn the oven on. And he grew up in like Muskegon, Michigan. Not once in my life was that an aspect that I had to worry about. And so like I got exposed to all these different types of ways that everyone else in the world got to live. And I feel like it made me a significantly better person. And then I'd say the last thing besides like Kalani was my first friend in college who I met, right? And then we ended up together. I would say, have you guys heard of the PayPal Mafia?
Yeah.
It'd be pretty dope if I sent my kid to Stanford and he ends up in a PayPal Mafia. So the PayPal Mafia, I think there's 12 of them, right? So 12 different people who are in PayPal, including Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, all came from like Stanford Business School. And they run LinkedIn, Netflix, PayPal, they've started all these billion-dollar companies, Palantir, and it all came from their college group of friends.
Yeah.
And so I do think there's a lot to be said where you're in an environment where you're exposed to completely different things. You get to be out on your own thinking. You aren't, like you said, Dean, there's no one like else in your life. Your parents aren't necessarily there, and you got to learn how to not be an alcoholic. You got to learn how to make right choices. You got to learn how to show up on time. Like, because college football for me was like the military, essentially, right? Like, you need to be here on time or you're fucked. Like, there will be consequences. But I'd say those things between friends, world exposure, and then if they are going to go to college, we're not getting any underwater basket weaving degrees. Like, you need to get something that is very tangible. I'm not going to pay for you to get a liberal arts degree. Like, that's just like, let's get something tangible that we can actually fall back on. And you can go and you can apply it in the real world. If everything else goes to shit, you can go get a job.
It's interesting because I'm going to tell you what my younger son is going to school for. And so your answer is yes. Both of your answers are yes. You're paying for your kids to go to school.
Is he going to college for liberal arts like Stratton said?
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
Yeah.
He's about to tell
Are
us.
you? Yes. You're saying yes, you're going to pay?
at this point, I've come to the conclusion if they exhaust, so if they go, they get good grades, they apply for scholarships there, and they try their best in like athletics, and they don't get any. Yes, we'll pay for their college. Kalani's adamant about it. I was like on the fence, but she's like, no, we're fucking paying for our kids to get exposed and go to a better environment.
It was so for me, I initially thought before my either of my kids ever went to school or to college, I was like, no, I'm not going to pay. I felt like there was something to be said about learning how to figure it out from a young age, right? And I think that there is some value in putting your kids through some challenging life circumstances. Obviously, as parents, I had support while I was going through school. You should be a safety net, I think, right? And they're not just flying solo on their own. But I did see some value in it. So my initial thought was like, I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to pay for this. I would be open to the idea of them like paying for it, getting loans. And if they complete college, I would be open to paying like those loans off. But I didn't love the idea of just writing a check at the beginning. Right. And so my younger son right now is going to school for theater. So his major is theater. And so he
Stratton. Yeah, baby.
Yeah. And so he is, and I love it, and I'm all for this, and I want to be very clear about this.
It's still kind of a career, though. Theater is still kind of a career.
So for me, I don't even care about the career aspect. Here's what I care about, dude. Like, this is what I've learned from spending 15 years in corporate America, and then also, like, now finding what my vehicle was supposed to be. My dad ingrained this to me, but it took me finding real estate to figure this out. Your life changes when you find the thing that you were meant to do on this earth. And I'm a really big believer in that, dude. And so I don't give a, if theater is this thing, dude, I'll go sit in the front row of every single thing that he wants to do. I'll pay for it. I don't give a shit. I just want him to be able to like have the opportunity to try some of that out, dude. You know what I'm saying? And think
if the passion's there, right?
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm with it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be real estate, doesn't need to be entrepreneur. If that's what you want to do, I'm with it, and I will financially support it. And it's funny because when I first thought about it, I was like, well, no, I don't really want to write this check. But it is a different thing. And we were talking about this when we were brainstorming the pod, like when that $7,000 housing bill is due and your kid waits a week before that bill is due, and otherwise he's going to get like kicked out of the dorm. It's like, you're going to pay that bill, dude. At least guys like us, I feel like, are, dude. You know what I'm saying? And so I do feel like, and he works, and that makes me very proud. He has gotten a job. He works, he contributes, and he uses that money for like social life and to help where he can. But now I'm at a space, even though I was not like, I didn't think I saw myself paying for school. Now I am, and I'm totally fine with it. And if Jen's on here, she can give you an idea of what she's paid. I don't know how much we paid recently, but she's the one that strokes the checks when we pay for the housing and stuff like that. So yeah, dude, it's an interesting dichotomy.
I think it's still like there's plenty of people who are acting throughout the world and like in plays and everything else, and you could become a hell of a salesman. He may not think he's going to be a salesman, but he could become a hell of a salesman, right?
For sure.
But I still feel like theater is a skill that is monetizable. My thing is like we got to get a return. I guess I'm not very pragmatic that way, if that's the right word. If we're going to go and we're going to spend 4 years of our life, we need to get a return on the time. Even if it is like a passionate thing, like, bro, we can go do improv on the weekends.
Yep.
Right. But like, at least with theater, we can go. My parents took me to plays all the time growing up at like Tuacahn. People come from all around the world to go to St. George, Utah, down like where you were the other day, Jason. And it's this Red Rock theater. They bring in actors from all around the world and pay them to be here and do all sorts of different plays. So I wouldn't necessarily push back on that. But so I have a huge issue with Africana studies. And this is a completely different rant. But as a college athlete, Dean knows what I'm talking about. They'll throw you in just whatever they can to make sure you're still eligible. And then you can't do anything with your Africana studies degree. And then it's like you didn't even go to college and you wasted your 4 years. And I've seen it happen to my friends. So that's why I think I'm a little bit more passionate.
I have that same problem with college, dude, and that was been my gripe. And it's interesting that all of us, I think, you don't hear this as much, but I think for us, all of us placed a lot of value, not so much in the, like, obviously the things that you learn, but I hear all of us talking about the relationships and the relationships that you make. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that I know I didn't take seriously when I was in school. Dude. I was just
really did not.
And I was just trying to get done because I thought something magic would happen once I got that. You know what I mean? I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting something. And
if only we knew what we knew now, right?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, bro. It's just like if I would have taken that serious and actually invested, and I have some buddies that do, and they're not like PayPal Mafia, but they've made these like really amazing connections because they were in business fraternities or there are these other things where they're the people that they're close with now that are highly successful. And I think that's something that isn't spoken about enough. I love leaning into the relationships.
Yeah, you guys said a couple of things I want to echo. Just, I think changing your environment, that is huge.
It was huge.
And that's what's cool about being in sports is you see people coming from all walks of life, but just getting out of your normal environment and your little bubble is hugely eye-opening. And what you said, Jason, if it's something you're passionate about, even if it's not business related, because we're obviously just hyper and like focused on it's got to be an accounting degree or a business degree or finance degree or something, right? Hey, dude, if you're super passionate about theater, like you should see that out. Because if you just don't go through that, you don't go to college, there's not really a vehicle so much for that otherwise. And that might be what you want to do for your entire life. And I have my best friend's brother who went to that for school. He went completely out of his environment from Hawaii to Michigan State. He was the mascot dressed up for the football games and ran the whole entire student section and running theater and has done stuff in Hollywood. He's been on commercials. He's been in movies. He's done voiceover stuff. He's been in video games. Like he's done a lot of really cool things, and that's him. And so if he didn't go through that because it didn't fit, oh, you should just do business, then that wouldn't be who he is, you know? So I think if that is who you are and you are in theater as Jason's example, or anything else specific, like that should be what you do and you should go for it, you know?
I love it.
And it is something to be said. I love as the providers and the breadwinners to be able to unlock our kids' ability to pursue those things without having to be spread so thin because they're grinding 10 hours a day at McDonald's, making minimum wage just to pay. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's something, at least for me, and I think for all of us, makes us feel really good and gives us a sense of accomplishment to be able to unlock those opportunities. Because I know 100%. I've grinded like my whole life, dude. I haven't not had a job since I was 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like never not worked. And so would my life have been different had I been able to take a chance at real estate at 21, you know what I'm saying? Because I had a little bit of a financial safety net underneath it. So yeah, I think it's good for us to be able to provide those opportunities.
And just perspective on that point, Jason, I think it was my brother-in-law I was just with a week or two ago, and he was just telling me about how he is so grateful for his mom not forcing him to get a job in high school and in college, because he kind of assumed and thought that he would have to. And she's like, no, don't get a job. Just enjoy this time. It's once in a lifetime. And he's, forever grateful for that. So I think that's huge. And I agree with you. I would want to provide that for my kids as well.
Real quick, let's hit these comments. Yep. Mice says he can drop a lot of gems on this topic. Mice was a teammate of mine at Fresno State. Landon Horn was a teammate of mine at at Snow College. He played tight end. And then Shanae, as someone who is huge on education, has 2 BAs. I've thought about this. She loved it because she's not a fan of paying for it for her kids. My son needs to be an entrepreneur or a tradesman, as education is not his bag, or nor in sports. My daughter, maybe. We did forget about the trades. I'd pay for trade school all day. Like I'd for sure pay for trade school if my kids.
And I can see a clear path to what I like about the trades is, let's say you become an electrician, right? We already know there's a shortage of these skilled trades. There's also, if you have the business acumen and the entrepreneurial drive, I think that there's a clear path for you to take that, learn, and then develop a business that can be very, very successful, dude. And so I really, really like that. And you are like the barrier to entry for something like that way higher than wholesaling real estate, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because once you've gotten licensed, once you've got that experience, Jason cannot just come in and learn how to do all of this stuff, right? So I feel like trades, we didn't talk about that. Maybe on another pod we should talk about that, but I love the idea of doing trades too. And I would definitely pay for that.
My dad was a tradesman though, and he told me I couldn't be a tradesman. Like he was like, you're going to be a fucking dentist, because my dad's an electrician.
Isn't that wild, dude?
He was like, "You're going to be a
the
fucking
exact
dentist."
opposite. It's so wild, bro, because I feel like
Yeah.
we've seen like full circle what it is, right? And now, I mean, if you want to be a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and that's your passion, like great, go do it. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, it's I think school, you have to figure out what you could really see yourself doing, man. I think the passion and doing something you love is important.
I had
And then-
Isaac on my IG. He said, "Why not relationships and business?" Right? Made the point about relationships in school. I think you 100% can jump right into business, skip college, and if you're extremely intentional about your relationships and business, and we talk about surrounding yourself with people that are performing at a higher level, and that will get you to where you want to go faster. Being a part of coaching programs or masterminds and things, communities that are going to help you get there faster. I 100% agree with Isaac. I just think the point of relationships in college is you're in a microscopic, area, a bubble that is just purely about that. I mean, you're like, to start, usually in dorm rooms, and you're literally like spending day and night with all these people and just goofing off and building these fun relationships that can later become PayPal mafia or whatever it is, right?
And I would say, like, yeah, you could say, well, I wish I would have started business at 18. 18-year-old Stratton couldn't have done fucking shit. Like 18-year-old Stratton was not prepared to do what is needed or had anywhere near the acumen and skills to do it. And odds are your child is not that talented. If you want me to be like, it's just like your kid going D1. Odds are your child is just not that talented. The only person I know who went into business fresh out of high school is like Josh Snow. And Josh is like the most talented entrepreneur I've ever met who's our age.
Yeah. You're in a area with when college relationships going back to college and then doing that, you're around other people that are your age, your maturity level, your experience level. So you're not just getting dumped into like some networking event where it can be super intimidating talking to people that are like high achieving professionals. You've never done a deal. And it's like, what the hell am I even going to say to somebody like this? So I think I do see the value in that too, man. So I like the idea of the relationship capital and what you can get from going to school. 100% would pay for it.
I love it. All right. Dino's got to hop unless you have anything else, Dino.
No, you guys got other amazing topics that I'm sure we'll circle back on and touch in other different ways. But yeah, this is such a good topic. And I think it's relevant for just about everybody who's, potentially in the position to have to make this kind of decision and maybe wrestling with a little bit. So hopefully it was helpful to kind of air that out for some people. And I'm excited to hear about your guys' other topics. So.
All right. For sure. Thank you, Dino.
All right, guys.
Later,
Text us when you're done, bro.
All righty. I'll let you know.
All right. What else?
I've got a question in the chat. Let's get a random question in here. So I've got 9 to 5 landlord in my IG chat said, when you first went full time with your real estate business, did you guys put yourself on payroll or you just lived deal to deal? I think this is a great question. And
I feel like this wraps into one of the topics anyways.
Yeah.
So where the topic is, what is it? How do you manage your finances for your company?
Yep.
And so I'll take it first. At the beginning, the money is just the businesses. And my best example is your business is like a baby, right? And your baby needs to be fed, and the food is the money. You cannot rob your baby of the food at the beginning. And this is why I tell most people not to burn the boats, because odds are if you don't have another marketing stream, like another income stream coming in, it gets really, really, really hard unless you have some type of side hustle that you can do on the side. And then that still makes it even more distracting. If you can keep your job, keep that money coming in to feed you, and then the business can feed itself, all the better. Like when we grew Call Magicians, I think I took, if anything, like $20,000 out of it because we were growing like 100% month over month. And it would eat all of that cash with hires. If I wanted to put myself on a $10,000 a month salary, fuck, bro, we got $80,000 in payroll, and then we got all these other bills. How is that company supposed to grow into a mature adult? Is like the number one thing you need to think about. Yeah. So now with the other stuff, yes, I will pay myself a salary, but when something's getting going, for me, no. At a point in time when you can like at least pay your bills and stuff like that, awesome. But most people think you're going to come in and make fuck tons of money. For a while, you're going to be deal to deal And this is why I tell people not to burn the boats, because real estate is very cyclical, right?
It's
like
a
it's going to
fucking
come
emotional
in.
roller coaster at the beginning,
Bro.
bro. I mean, it will test your emotions like to the nth degree, bro. And I could not agree with you more. You and I know, and you and I are probably like this, dude. Like there's certain people, and I think this is a small percentage of people that are out there that can perform under the type of pressure that burning the boats and just going all in, right, is going to require. I don't think most people should go down that route. That's what I did. But I honestly don't think that most people should do that. And I love what you said. I think having a W-2 or having a side hustle or having some kind of other income stream that comes in to help you get through some of those leaner months, dude, is critical, dude, because most people can't deal with the roller coaster mentally that you deal with. Because, dude, I worked for 11 months and I wasn't like doing a part-time effort. I worked every single day from the beginning and I didn't make any money. And for me, coming from 15 years of corporate America where I was getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, dude, that can trick you into being very comfortable, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a drug, dude. And if you just go cold turkey off of that, and then all of a sudden you think like you're just going to be like this crazy high performer in real estate, dude, probably not going to happen, man. So I love the idea of having some additional income or keeping the W-2 until the business starts to get steady. And 9 to 5 landlord, I see your other question. I'll put it in here right now. Going back to your initial question, when do you pay yourself from the real estate business, or do you just go deal to deal? It's not an easy question to answer. Everybody's situation is going to be different. I'll tell you my experience, bro. My experience was I delayed for almost 5 years. So I didn't touch any of the money from my business for almost 5 years. So we went through the initial season of growing the business. That's like a year or 2 years for most people of just creating an actual business, bro. You know what I'm saying? And at that period, you should not be touching the money, in my opinion, at all. Okay. So from the first 12 to 24 months, all the money needs to stay in the business. And the way we were able to make our lives work is we lived off of Jen's income. She got a job as a high school counselor. Her income bumped up a little bit. So we were able to absorb the hit from me leaving corporate America. So we had something to pay our bills. So for that first 2 years, dude, I don't think you should touch anything. The reason why we went almost 5 years is once we got some traction and some consistency, I was very fortunate going back to relationships. I met guys like Alan and Frank Romine and Parker and a lot of these guys that really encouraged me to start buying rental properties. And they said, Jason, if you just keep flipping houses, you just found yourself another high paying job. You need to start buying rentals. And for years, 2, 3, 4, and part of year 5, all I did was the excess money. I just took that and I bought rentals, and I bought 50 rentals in 3-year period, dude. And then we started actually touching some of the money that was in there. But I had a business that was mature at that point, or somewhat mature. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So we've got the flipping and wholesaling business that was making money. Then we built a little bit of a financial moat around ourselves with the rentals that we acquired. And now I've got a little bit of stability, bro. So I was able to delay gratification long enough to get us there. And then we started paying ourselves money. If I had to go back, I probably maybe would have started paying ourselves a little bit sooner, because I think I created some stress because I'm such an action taker, dude. I was just like, let's just keep pushing everything into the middle.
The hard
you know
part.
What I'm saying? And that's
me.
That's not safe either, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just push your chips into the middle every single time and just do that over and over and over again, because that can be irresponsible too, especially when you've got team members, you've got private money lenders to pay, you have all of these other responsibilities that you need to do. So you've got to find a little bit of a balance there, and then go from there. So here's follow-up question from 9 to 5 landlord. He's the guy that asked the first one. So he said, I'm an accountant for my 9 to 5. I own 5 buildings with my lady. Congrats, bro. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. Goal is to flip and buy rentals as we go. I want to be financially able to retire by 35. I'm 30 right now. So he's got 5 years to get there, dude. So 5
I think we should use Sam.
Yep.
Right. So Sam, and I don't know, Sam, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, bro.
Eknoyan.
I talked to you last week. Eknoyan. I talked to Sam like at least once a week, every 2 weeks. Sam's bought 30 houses this year alone. I think like 30 to 50 houses, something fucking crazy.
Yep.
I would say it's possible, but your financial freedom is not going to come from your rental properties. It's just not. Like, your financial freedom is going to come from building the flipping business
Yeah.
that generates lots of income, like that business. And if you're just doing, call it 10 to 20 deals a year, that is where like your safety net and financial freedom is going to come from. Because those rentals, unless you're buying commercial buildings or storage, they're not shooting you off tons of cash to where you're going to feel, if you're an accountant, you're probably more like risk averse, to where you'll feel confident leaving your actual job. Because like, one bad thing, we talk about this all the time, one bad thing happens, bro, your cash flow is blown up for the year on that asset. And it could be for 2 years. And so most of your financial freedom is going to come from starting the business. That is the business of real estate, not real estate. The business of real estate is what's going to help you retire. And then you're going to continue to do that, trade up, and then you'll get into the game. You'll get equity pops from selling your rentals or refinancing them. But it's not, in my personal opinion, I don't know anybody who's besides Zuber who lives off of their rentals.
Yeah, dude, I'll echo everything that you just said. It's funny because we just did a deep dive into all of our company that owns all of our rental portfolios and our Airbnbs, and we self-manage, dude, and we do pretty good, and we buy at the right price. So it's like we're buying right. We know how to rehab them at the right number. We manage them on our own. So we've cut out a lot of these other ancillary expenses. And I mean, we're not making a ton of bread every month from our rental properties, bro. It's just not, you know what I'm saying? And so my advice to you, 9-to-5 landlord, is you're smart for, I see you have a goal to flip as you go. And I think putting some intentional effort into that business, that's the business, bro, that is going to replace your accounting income, right? If you're an accountant, you're probably making decent money. If you want to replace that, we talk about this a lot, dude. We all make this mistake at the beginning where it's like, oh, I'll buy 30 houses and each house is going to spit off $300. And then every month I'm going to get X amount of money every month. And that sounds great on a spreadsheet. That is not how things operate in reality. No. Speaking from somebody that's done this for a long time, dude, it just doesn't work that way. So you have to have something else if you're going to walk away from a career like accounting, which I'm sure you've worked your ass off to get. You've got to have some other active real estate business to offset the swings that you're going to have from your rental properties, dude. And it creates this vehicle where you always get good deals. That's the biggest benefit, dude, is that when you're the conduit for the deals, you get to cherry pick the best deals, dude, and you keep the best ones for yourself and then sell the rest of them as you go, man. So keep your foot on the gas, brother, as you're doing that. I think that's a smart move. And then go from there. Workman.gc on my IG said, I went all in. It's scary, but can be worth it. And I agree, dude. I'm with you, bro. I think, Stratton and I did that. I think there are certain people out there that are cut out for doing that, and dealing with it. Scary is putting it lightly, for sure, dude. There's definitely times where it can get really, really hairy when you just go all in, but certain people can respond under that type of pressure, man.
I would tell most people not to do it because most people don't know the amount of stress that they will actually encounter when the time comes. Like when payroll is due, and you have to figure out how we're going to make X amount of dollars so other families can eat. That is a very like you and God choice to where you got to figure out where this money's coming from, and that you're going to put your ass on the line to make sure everything's okay. And so that's why I tell most people not to burn the boats. I'm like, because some people like you don't know what you're really signing up for. If you get there and awesome, yeah, but like I want 100% have cash reserves because you're going to be put into crazy spots. You're going to grind your face off forever. Fuck, in this challenge, right? I lost $45 this month, and we're getting 10 leads a fucking day, and we're plowing through stuff, putting stuff up. But then I got to pay for everything else that's coming out. Yeah, we'll have 70 something closed next month. But think about that. I spent $6,000 this month just on like ancillary things.
Yep.
And nothing came in. So like that, those are the types of things you need to be prepared for if you do want to burn the boats. That's why I tell nobody to ever do it.
Yeah. You got to wade into the water. The smart move is to kind of wade in and ease in a little bit because most people are not conditioned for that, dude. And it can be scary for sure. This is a good segue to the main topic because we're talking about rentals, and most people think rentals are the key to like passive income and unlocking like just mailbox money that just shoots in every single month without work. But it's really the tax benefits that you get, guys. That's where the real savings and the real value that a lot of people don't talk about by owning these properties is your rentals, dude. So I think it's a good transition point.
Let's talk about the business of real estate. Let me turn off my camera real quick. Oh, there we go. So Jason and I are in the business of real estate. We are not just like real estate investors, because most real estate investors buy real estate for the tax benefits. When everybody says they're like, oh, all real estate, all millionaires are in real estate, like, no, most millionaires are made through like business, and then they buy real estate to offset it. Every business owner owns their shop because they had to get the tax write-off. Their accountant's like, hey, if you don't buy this, you're paying Uncle Sam X amount of dollars, right? I underwrote a deal yesterday. That's a storage deal. He pays his wife $16,000 a year in rent. It has like some random person who's his cousin on payroll, and then he baked in $30,000 more of cost to avoid the taxes. And he owns the real estate, but his goal is zero. The reason why we said how to avoid taxes, me, Jason, and Dean all had to pay taxes last year.
Yeah.
But the big thing when you are in real estate, my money actively comes from wholesaling, doing our VA business, and from storage, right? But then the best part about the storage is it offsets the taxes with what's called, accelerated depreciation.
Yeah.
And doing like a cost segregation, right? We bought it. It's worth 900 grand. We can take 33% day one, 300 grand off of the tax bill. That is like to me, the best part about real estate. And that's how you avoid taxes. And I tell you, you or your wife, if you are not currently, should be a real estate professional. I am not a CPA. This is not financial advice. But when I talk to my friends and they have a stay-at-home wife, this is the easiest hack for you.
Yeah.
If someone's just looking at deals, that'll help it so you can take advantage of those passive, like, because I think it qualifies as like a passive gain, right? You need to be able to offset that. And the only way you can do that to the fullest is by being a real estate professional.
Yeah, dude. And you need to be able to justify that. You can't just claim it without having proof, right? So one partner that is either active in the business or that is licensed that can actually show that you're spending the majority of your time doing this, right? While, and I'll use Jen and I as an example. I would obviously am the real estate professional in our family, right? And while we were growing the business, Jen was W-2 income earner as a high school counselor. And that was it, dude. And so I feel like depreciation, and I think there's a misconception too about depreciation and write-offs, and I want to clear that up for a lot of people that are on here. And 9 to 5 landlord, you're an accountant, so if you want to chime in on this topic, dude, feel free to do it, man, and give us whatever advice you're willing to, man. But when you're depreciating your properties or you're looking for write-offs to offset, it's not a like I made $1 million and we have X amount in write-offs, and then this is the actual savings, right? If we have a $500,000 depreciation on one of our properties, right, it doesn't automatically save us that amount, right? There's math and things that you need to do in order to make sure that that works out the right way. And so what you're doing when you depreciate your properties or when you're buying an asset like a vehicle using like the Section 179 deduction is you're bringing down your taxable income. Right. So it's not just a dollar for dollar write-off, guys. It's how the game is. How do we bring our taxable income down to a point that lowers our tax liability to a threshold that you or your CPA and you feel comfortable with? Right. And so for us, we pretty aggressively depreciate all the rental properties, and all the money that we're making from our flipping and our wholesaling business, all that income that we earn, we use the depreciation from the rentals to offset that. And that's what allows us to bring our tax liability down. And it was funny. I brought up this story from Pace because I saw Pace post this yesterday. And he was like, I haven't paid $1 in taxes in a year. It's 7 years or something like that. Right. I don't know if you saw that. We were talking about it, dude, but it was like, I have always showed a little bit of income, but I mean, there's some investors that I think we both know, dude, that get really hyper aggressive and then they wipe everything out. And so I think it was interesting us talking yesterday, dude. Yeah.
And so our mentor, big homie Brad, is the only person who told me, Stratton, you need to be bankable. He was like, you can't just wipe out all of your income because the bank's not going to give you any fucking money. Yeah. He was like, if you want to like really grow and start buying assets, buying whatever you want, you can't just take a fat L every year. And Brad told me the amount of money he paid in taxes that year. And he's like, I did that on purpose. Because he would never have to pay taxes with how much real estate he owns. And he was like, I did it 100% on purpose so I can stay bankable. And he was the first person who like really brought that to my attention. But I will say, if you're a young business owner, I thought at the beginning when I wrote everything off, it'd be a write-off. And then I remember being down in LA with Kalani at one of her work trips. And I got a call from my CPA. And he's like, you owe $14,000 in taxes. And this is like my first year in business.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck do you mean I owe $14,000 in taxes? Like, I wrote off everything. What is this?
Yeah.
And I had to put off my taxes to pay it because I didn't know, and I thought it was all write off. And so you still want to save up that money and whatever, it's the 33%. So then you're prepared and you don't have to pay those taxes. I don't want to acknowledge that last comment just because I don't know if it's real.
Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, no, that's okay. We don't need to. 9 to 5 landlord chimed in a lot, dude. I appreciate you being so engaged in this. And my IG, he basically echoed exactly what you said. He said, but in turn, when it's time to go to a bank and get some form of lending for the next level of business, they can't get approved because they're not bankable, right? Yeah. And it's interesting. The guys that I would consider mentors to me, Brad is one of them, or just people that I go to that are very successful that I get advice from, almost 100% of them pay a big tax bill. And they state this exactly, dude. They're just like, hey, when you get to a certain level, you're just going to have to show a certain amount of money. And 9 to 5 landlord says, if you don't have the assets secured, so if you don't have the things that you want, your home, your office, etc., you should not be writing everything off. That's for seasoned business owners. And I agree, dude. I think every year, dude, we've showed money on our taxes. And you know, we find a threshold that I feel happy with, dude. And that's the big thing. So I don't think the tax strategy is complete and utter avoidance, I guess, right? Is not the right word, where we're going to zero every year. At least I've never subscribed to that idea. And people that I get advice from don't do that. But there's a strategy that you can do to offset some of it so we can limit it while at the same time being bankable and being able to go and leverage all the
this is if you want to continue to play the real estate game, right? If you're like a creative finance guy, obviously you don't need to show anything else, but like not everybody is Pace Morby and can go buy 300 units without tax returns. You know, like if you're a business owner and you want to offset your taxes, awesome. But if you ever need to get access to capital, that is when the time comes where you're going to need to show tax returns, show income. If you're going to take on any sort of debt for like your company needs to grow, you want to get like something like that, taxes have to be shown. Yep. That is what I've run into to where everyone's like, oh, I don't want to pay any taxes. I don't want to pay any taxes. It doesn't quite work that way. Well, your 9 to 5 landlord guy has had some sauce. Does he have any other sauce for us?
No, bro. I appreciate you jumping on, man. I think that was really good. We appreciate the engagement. If you guys have any last minute questions, I've got a few here that I'll drop off into the chat. And then if you guys have anything else that you want us to answer before we jump off, let us know. So easy one. What rental management company do you like in Fresno, California? I would recommend Regency Property Management. This is for Tamara. Regency Property Management is a good company that we would recommend. What price points and rent rates? This is from Sam. What price point and rent rates are you shooting for long-term rentals in Central California? That's a good question. So Sam, we own lots of rental properties here, and it is becoming more and more difficult to make the numbers work with rates, what they're doing right now. I'm closing in a week or two a refinance on a property that I own. That this is the properties that I find that are working well if you can find the right deal. Small multifamily. It's difficult right now, even if you get a smoking deal on a single family house in Fresno. I'm talking about Fresno, California specifically right now. Even if you get a really, really good deal on a single family house, prices have gone up. So even your baseline for what you're paying for a smoking deal nowadays, right? I used to buy properties for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. That same house all day long, we're paying $150,000 to $174,000. And then after you go in and remodel it and spend $50,000 to $75,000, and then you try to go refinance that, you're all into that property with the cost of borrowing money and everything else for like $250,000, $260,000, dude. And if you're refinancing at 7%, or if you're using a DSCR loan, it could be higher right now. I was at 7.25% for mine. You're going to be best case throwing off $100 a month, but most likely you're going to be cash flow negative, especially once you account for vacancies and repairs. So what's working really well for me right now, Sam, small multifamily, specifically like 2 to 4 units. So if we can get a property that's like 2 houses on one lot, that's the house that we're refinancing right now. we're all in and we're refinancing that for $190,000. The front house rents for $1,200. The back house rents for $1,000. I can still make those numbers work. If you can get a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex and still get those at good deals out here, you can still make the numbers work, depending on the condition that they're in and where the rents are at. So that's what I would recommend, bro. Look at those, look for off-market opportunities for those 2 to 4 units and just try to pick them up at the best price that you can. And your leverage is going to be raising the rents, and you can still qualify for like 30-year fixed debt, right? Anytime you go above that, you're going to end up typically going into a commercial loan, and that's going to reset after a few years. And for new investors, that can be a little scary if the loan's resetting in 5 years, because you just don't know where you're going to be at then, dude. So be careful with that. That's it. What else, my dude? No.
I mean, I don't have anything as far as like Central California. I think it's rough. We cannot find good sub 2 deals out here. I get sent them all the time, and it's all just nonsense.
We see them too, dude. And it's like, you have to use them as, they have to be like a short-term rental or a midterm rental in order to make it work. And I think that's very
thin. Like the return on the amount of, you're going to throw 80 grand into that bitch. Like, you'll get a better return somewhere else on that money.
No, yeah, dude, it does. And I mean, we just had a nightmare with Airbnb, dude. Like, Airbnb just delisted one of our properties that we've had tons of success with, and they're saying it's because we didn't disclose that there were security cameras on there. And
because they're going through this whole.
We've had this thing disclosed since we listed the property, and we showed them proof, but it got pulled off the platform for a month, and we're still fighting them, dude. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, when you put all your eggs in a basket like that, dude, you got to be really, really careful, because at least with that property, I could just turn around and rent it because I got it at a great price and the numbers still work. But if all your exit strategy is Airbnb and that doesn't work, or Airbnb decides to delist your property like they just did with ours for no good reason, then it can be tough.
I've become very wary on make sure you are as close as possible to the money. Right, to where we've built multiple businesses to where it relied on like when we built the Amazon stuff, 2 other people had to get paid before we got paid. ERC, 2 other people had to get paid before we got paid. That is a recipe to where if one link doesn't work, that's a lot of time and effort and a lot of exposure if you're not ready.
Yeah.
All right, bro. That's all I have. If you don't have any other comments, bro, let's wrap it up.
That's it, man. Here's a good one from, it looks like Travis Silva. How can a real estate agent transition into flips and rentals? We'll wrap with this, dude. So Travis, dude, here's a subject that's near and dear to my heart. I think especially now with all the changes with this NAR settlement and the way that the market has reacted in the last year and a half, a lot of the transactions have just compressed. And I think the people that are going to not just survive, but thrive in this upcoming market are going to have multiple tools in their toolbox. They can't just be a one-trick pony. So you can't just be an agent, can't just be a fixer and flipper. You've got to have lots of different options. You've got to be able to do creative. You got to be able to do investments. Having your agent's license is a good thing too. And I think the way that you do that is you've got to start learning how to identify opportunities. And these opportunities you're looking for, bro, are very different than what you're looking for typically as an agent, right? So you got to start setting your eye out and being intentional about finding fixer-upper properties and looking at those things and reaching out to other investors and networking with other investors and learning how to generate leads that are coming in off market directly to seller. That's where all of our business is done. I've bought 5 houses in 10 years that have been listed on the market. Everything else is off market, dude. So you've got to learn how to go direct to seller. You've got to start focusing on lead generation and marketing and get around other people in your market that are doing that, dude, and get in proximity to those people. We spent a lot of time talking about relationships at the beginning of the pod. I think being in close proximity to other agents that are successfully doing both will get you there faster.
Bro, I need to keep telling people to like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to do that at the beginning. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. If you're an agent, go to meetups. Go to the investor meetups. Go meet the people in the community who are doing it. And then whenever anybody brings you a house that needs to sell fast or it's in bad condition, call up one of the dudes who you met at the meetup. That is going to be the easiest way.
That's your buyer
to get that done. That is your bread and butter. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's all I got, bro.
That's it. Thank you guys for coming in fired up today. Good topic. Love you guys.